Hello everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Holland Land Office Museum's Artifact video series. My name is Ryan Duffy, I'm the director of the museum, and this week we're going to talk about a very special part of our museum uniform collection, and one that's actually pretty rare to find in collections, and that is a World War I U.S. Marine uniform. Now this one was worn by George Hillabush, who was a resident of Genesee County and fought with the 5th Marine Regiment during the war, and was part of some of the heavy fighting that Marines were a part of, including at the Battle of Belleau Wood, which occurred for most of June 1918, and still goes down in U.S. Marine Corps lore and history as sort of a seminal moment. So what we have here is the field uniform of George Hillabush, who was a private in the 5th Marine Regiment. Now George was actually born in Shenandoah, Pennsylvania, but eventually moved up to Genesee County, and that's where he enlisted in the Marines and fought throughout the war, survived, came back, and we actually have quite a few things from his time in the military during World War I, but most importantly his uniform, complete with his cap. So the uniform looks very standard to the U.S. Army uniform of the day, but the colors are different. This is a little darker green than the olive color that you see with World War I Army uniforms, and plus it's got all of the buttons are different, featuring the Marine symbols, but this one's very nice as it still has all the rank insignias and unit patches, so it's pretty complete considering it goes all the way back to 1918. Now the Marines in World War I were sort of an addition to the American Expeditionary Force, and they saw some of the heaviest fighting at different points, and George and his unit were part of it, especially at Belleau Wood, which basically lasted the entirety of June 1918, and it was really the baptism of fire for the Marines during World War I. Much of them was their first combat they had seen during the war. They faced off against a German offensive that actually punched through the French lines and had marched over 10 kilometers in one night to plug up the lines and push the Germans back, eventually doing counterattacks at bayonet point against coming under heavy fire, where many were killed, and eventually fighting in the area called Belleau Wood, in some cases hand-to-hand fighting, driving back the Germans. And the Germans really came to fear the Marine Corps, especially amongst Americans, often calling them devil dogs, and in some cases would very much have second thoughts when they knew they were going up against the Marines on the other side. Now the Marines would eventually win that battle, and it would go down in Marine Corps legend as sort of the first modern victory of the Marine Corps, and put it on a path to what it would become in World War II and beyond to this day. And for their bravery and for their support of the French forces, they actually were allowed to wear French emblems on their uniforms as a show of respect and camaraderie. So this uniform is pretty much goes down in a lot of lore, especially amongst the Marine Corps, but also in the history of World War I and America's involvement of it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of our Artifact video series and learned a little bit more about the Marines in World War I, in particular our uniform here from George Hillabush of Genesee County. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. And be sure to check out all of the other videos we have in our channel, including all the other Artifact video series that we've done. I believe this is 190 we've got up now, as well as all our guest speakers, concerts, Java with Joes. There's plenty of material to check out there. But as always, the best way to learn more about any of the artifacts or stories that we feature in these videos is to stop by and see them for yourself at the museum, as we can share more information. Plus, you can often see many of these up close and personal. And if you enjoy learning about the history of Genesee County and enjoy what the museum does, consider supporting us. And the best way to do that is to become a member of the museum, which can go for as low as $25 for a year, and it gets you all sorts of discounts to bookstore, events, and plenty of other benefits to go along with it.